Now at 5, the city of Joplin discusses its response to the damage from last night's storms. Plus, we're going to hear from residents in Duquesne as they clean up the damage to their homes and roads. And
Stormy Daniels faces former President Trump at his New York criminal trial. I'm Michael George at the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse with what she said on the stand.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
the storm moved through quickly, but the damage will be around for a while. A Carterville, Missouri police officer shot this video last night. In addition to the tornado, the area was hammered by straight-line winds and intense rain. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The storm left scattered damage like this in southeast Kansas before packing a harder punch in Jasper County, Missouri. We have team coverage of the aftermath tonight, starting in Joplin. The city held a storm response news conference today to address the damage and cleanup efforts. According to Joplin city officials, crews were out at full force last night and are still assessing the damage today. The fire chief says crews went to 81 locations to assess damage last night, and they say additional crews were called in. Some residents spent the day cleaning up and dealing with the aftermath of the storm.
We got nervous and everything, and then we finally decided wasn't anything we could do then because we had no electricity. And I had a spell with my heart. I couldn't get 911. It rang and no one answered.
We were more concerned about taking care of the water damage than anything because it was coming in pretty good in the house and we didn't want the house to be flooded. But then this morning when we came out and saw the outside of the damage, we were surprised that so much had been damaged on the outside of the house.
No injuries were reported. According to Liberty, 7,200 locations in Joplin lost power during the peak of the storm, and some citizens are still dealing with outages. The area also lost 50 power poles that will have to be replaced. As the storm system moved east into Duquesne, it toppled power poles, trees, and more. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has details live now from Duquesne.
Since daybreak, residents have been cleaning up the aftermath of last night's storm. Wires from power lines scattered along the yards. Residents used chainsaws to cut up fallen trees and clear neighborhood roads. The residents say the cleanup is going to take weeks, but they're all working together.
So I usually use this way, but when I came in this morning, there were several trees knocked down from down by the donut shop, but they cleared those trees off. This was actually covered, all this was covered, and then the neighborhood and everybody kind of worked together and cleared it off so we could all have one way in, one way out kind of thing. So everybody came together and helped.
KOAM News at 6. Dow, back to you.
Amber Jenkins, thanks. Just weeks after Carthage saw damaging winds, residents are once again cleaning up storm damage there. Last night, storms brought down trees across the area, many of which fell onto roadways, cars, and even homes. The Carthage Water and Electric Plant says the storms also caused extensive damage to their system. Crews have been out since last night addressing downed power lines all across the area. The Carthage School District canceled classes today due to power outages and storm damage. Tonight at 9 and 10, we're going to learn how residents are dealing with the impact of the storm there. Before the storm system hit our area, it leveled the town of Barnsdall, Oklahoma. The town's mayor says at least one person is dead and at least 8 others are injured. 30 to 40 homes were damaged and about 24 people were left without shelter. Downed power lines, a gas leak, and debris are making roadways dangerous. Last night's tornado was the second Barnsdall has seen in just over a month. Let's check in now with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney.
Well, today cleared out. We had mostly sunny skies, bit breezier though, and temperatures up into the 80s. Across the region, some of us still in the 70s, 77 in Iola, 79 in Nevada, but if you go further south, 81 in Jay, 81 in Miami. So we are pretty warm today after all those storms, but we had quite amount of storm reports. We've got some flooding as well. So we have a few tornadoes that have touched down in our area. I know out in Washington County, that tornado that hit Barnsdale They don't know exactly what it is, but they're estimating anywhere from an EF3 to an EF4, but they are still going to work on that survey for that storm. By the time it hit Washington, the main line had overtaken that tornado, so it fell apart rather quickly. And then we had 2 tornadoes out in Joplin and Carthage. Both have already been confirmed by the National Weather Service in Springfield. They were both EF1 tornadoes. Now we'll have more details for you in just a bit.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Hey, if you want to see our latest severe weather coverage wherever you are, anytime, including cut-ins to regular programming, well, just download the KOAM Plus app. When the storms move in, we're going to keep you in the know, even on the go. It's available free of charge in the Apple app and Google Play stores, as well as Roku and Amazon Fire TV. The woman at the center of Donald Trump's criminal trial in New York took the witness stand today. Michael George has more on the key testimony.
Former President Donald Trump's attorney asked for a mistrial, calling Tuesday's testimony from adult film star Stormy Daniels extraordinarily prejudicial. The judge denied the request, but did agree some things were better left unsaid. Daniels recalled meeting the former president in his hotel suite in Lake Tahoe in 2006. She testified they spoke for 2 hours, including a mention of Melania Trump. And Daniels said when she came out of the bathroom, the former president was on the bed wearing boxers and a T-shirt. She told the court they ultimately had sex, and she took a cab back to her hotel, telling very few people what had happened.
A few things the prosecution has brought out is that he never asked her to keep quiet about this. He never asked her to keep it from his wife, and these are things that the defense will want to raise later.
Trump denies the alleged encounter.
The prosecution has to establish that the former president had an incentive to cover up these payments to Stormy Daniels, to make the payments and cover it up. And in order to do that, the prosecution has to show that she would have been a compelling figure had she told this story right before the election.
On the stand, Daniels detailed the financial arrangement, testifying she signed a contract in exchange for her silence, and the $130,000 payment was late. Earlier, Trump called the criminal trial unfair and said there's no smoking gun.
That's what they're trying to get us on, the fact that we call a legal expense a legal expense.
Trump also railed against the judge's gag order on his way into court, calling it unconstitutional, but made no mention of Daniels by name. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Israeli tanks entered eastern Rafah today in the latest offensive in its war with Hamas in Gaza. Israel has called it a limited operation against Hamas targets there, but warned it will go further until Hamas is destroyed or it releases the hostages it's holding. The U.S. says it remains engaged in trying to help broker a deal with Israel after Israel rejected a ceasefire that Hamas says it agreed to. Still ahead, using tech to plan your trip.
Artificial intelligence is powering more vacation itineraries. I'm Wendy Gillette with How It Works.
And next in Health Watch, one teen's push for people to get a life-saving screening. Topping today's Health Watch, a Pennsylvania teen is spearheading a life-saving effort to have young people get their hearts checked. The goal is to prevent sudden cardiac arrest. Kim Hudson has more.
As 18-year-old Grace Kyle looks through her Mount St. Joseph Academy yearbook, she's remembering her favorite graduate, big sister Caroline.
Had a very loving heart. She's always looking out for others.
In 2022, 19-year-old Caroline died from a heart condition that went undetected.
We had no clue. She was always an athlete growing up. She was always active. She was a happy, healthy teenage girl.
Grace helped organize a screening by Simon's Heart. She, along with organization executive director Jim Parado, prepared to welcome more than 100 young people to the event. Those participating will receive a free heart screening, a screening Parado believes might have saved Grace's sister.
Had she gone through an EKG, had she had a heart condition that we knew about, she would just be on a simple medicine and be with us today.
Simon's Heart was named for Simon Sudman, who was just 3 months old when he died 20 years ago of sudden cardiac arrest. The group estimates at least 2,000 young people under the age of 20 die from the condition every year. Parado says the group's mission is not to scare anyone, but empower them.
And likely you'll go home with an EKG that is super clear. there is a small percentage that then we say, take this EKG to a pediatric cardiologist, get that second look, and then you'll be good to go.
I feel like she'd love to see making a difference one person at a time.
And with so many students joining in this fight to save lives, Grace says Caroline would be proud. Kim Hudson, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Simon's Heart has checked nearly 19,000 hearts to date. A child with a sedentary lifestyle is more likely to end up with excessive heart enlargement as a young adult. A study in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found children who average 6 hours a day of sedentary time have a 40% increase in heart mass. Children who average 3 to 4 hours a day of light physical activity reduced that increase by 49%. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the FAA announces it's investigating a report by Boeing that some workers falsely passed safety inspections of aircraft.
And we've got more storms rolling in tomorrow morning that we'll talk about right after the break. After the storms yesterday, we do have a bit of a break before the next round of storms roll in. So let's take a look outside. Indigo Sky Casino Resort. It's a nice sunny day. I know National Weather Service has a few crews out from Wichita, Tulsa, Springfield. They are doing surveying for all of the storms that we had yesterday. And there is a lot of storm reports for our area, surrounding areas. These storms were really dangerous, and as they moved out of our area, they continued to strengthen. I know Springfield had a couple of confirmed tornadoes as well. We had a few. Now, the strongest one that I've seen so far along this line was the tornado that touched down in Barnesdale. And as of right now, survey is still undergoing, but they are seeing low-end EF4 damage. So they are going to continue to look at the damage, but as of right now, they're closer to the EF4. Now, we had also a few tornadoes in our area. Joplin had a confirmed tornado. It was an EF1 due to uprooted trees, power line damage, damage to homes, roof damage, and this happened about 11:30 last night. And the second one out in Carthage, again, National Weather Service has confirmed it, and it is an EF1 tornado, and that was moving about, winds about 95 miles per hour, and trees were uprooted, power lines snapped, and several roofs were damaged as well. So that was the one out in Carthage. So across our area, we had a lot of damage, not just from the tornadoes that touched down, but also wind damage that we saw associated with some of these storms. But like I said, we are clear. Now, the same low pressure system is bringing us another round of storms tomorrow. Yesterday we had that dry line move through. Typically dry lines move through ahead of a cold front, so the cold front is what's bringing us storms tomorrow morning. As of right now, we've got an elevated risk. If you are southeast of Joplin, you're in an elevated risk. Now, slight risks, so this is a level 2 out of 5 risk. Nevada, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Miami, Grove, all in those central counties if you're going north to south. And then if you are west of Pittsburgh, then you're going to be in a marginal risk or even less than that. So we're not going to expect as severe threat as we did yesterday, but timing about 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. So these storms could start as early as 5 a.m. We see those winds shift already. We'll take a look at that in a minute, but they will finally be completely out of our area later in the afternoon. Now the main threat's going to be hail, large hail, and strong winds, but still we can't rule out a tornado as well. So let's take a look at the future track that we're seeing. Moving into the morning, so here about 5 a.m. we see the winds shifting, but nothing's developed in our area. Like I said, we're not in that main threat. They're going to continue to strengthen as they move out of our area, but here we've got that wind shift line, and then we'll continue in. We see the storm start to develop along the line. It's about 6:37 a.m. They'll continue in. Just as they move out of Joplin, that's when we're really going to start to see them fire up. South of Joplin, 9 a.m., and then this line of storms will continue. A little bit more scattered in nature. They haven't been organized yet, but we do see them start to really organize as they move out of our area. So we are going to say we've got that 60% chance of morning storms tomorrow. After that, we've got a nice long stretch of sunny skies before more rain chances next week.
Well, we'll stay informed, and we'll look forward to that break, even if it's too brief.
Definitely.
In a couple of days. Thanks. Hey, planning the perfect getaway. Coming up, we're going to learn how people are using AI for their dream vacations. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the FAA is investigating a report from Boeing that some of its workers failed to complete safety inspections on its 787 Dreamliners and falsified records saying the checks had been completed. A source tells CBS News this could potentially involve about 450 planes, including some still being built. The FAA has not determined there's an immediate safety issue with Dreamliners currently in service. Artificial intelligence is quickly becoming a bigger part of travel planning and booking. It can be a valuable tool to help determine your next destination and what you want to do while you're there. Wendy Gillette explains from Newark, New Jersey.
What the heck are we doing?
Travel influencer Michael Motametti from Los Angeles may have asked himself that a few times when he first made the decision to only use artificial intelligence to plan a year's worth of trips around the world.
I think that AI is really the future in a lot of respects.
To test it in the real world, he started using Guide Geek's travel assistant, messaging via WhatsApp, and eventually forged a partnership with the company.
Might have heard of the country Montenegro.
Letting the virtual know-it-all shape where he goes and what he does.
For me, I've been using it strictly as an experiment to see what would happen if I let go and I relinquished all control to AI to travel the world. And it's given me some of the best experiences I've ever had.
We decided to give it a try ourselves. We used Expedia's Chat GPT function to give us recommendations on our trip to New Orleans.
It was spring in the Big Easy, so we asked which events to attend. The French Quarter Festival showed up third on Expedia's list. It's an annual celebration of the city's music, culture, and food. We got a special rate to stay at the Four Seasons overlooking the festival, the newest luxury hotel to open in New Orleans, featuring 15,000 crystals in the champagne bar, a martini Esquire magazine named Best of the Year, and the largest pool downtown. Restaurant queries brought us back to Expedia, which recommended Commander's Palace for its Sunday jazz brunch. The quaint farm-to-table eatery Coquette, and Dookie Chase's restaurant for its soul food.
We have seen many attempts.
AI entrepreneur Gilad Bernstein tells those in the industry this is just the beginning of what's possible.
For those who prioritize travel, it's also going to be unwise to have a travel advisor who doesn't have incredible technology helping them do the best they can do.
He says AI won't replace people, but will improve their performance and your experience, no matter where you go. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
A 2023 report from the consulting firm McKinsey finds AI will bring hyper-personalization to travel booking. Another sriracha shortage could be looming. Los Angeles-based Wu Yi Fong Food says it's halting production of the popular spicy sauce until after Labor Day because currently red jalapeno chile peppers used in the product are not red enough. A range of white-coated snacks is being recalled nationwide because they could be contaminated with salmonella. Palmer Candy Company says it was notified that one of its liquid coating suppliers might be the source of contamination. Production has halted and the FDA is investigating. No illnesses have been reported so far. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, could your everyday car ride be exposing you to toxic chemicals? Then on KOIM News at 6, we're going to hear more from the city of Joplin about their response to last night's severe weather. Plus, Carthage Water and Electric Plant officials discuss the storm damage to their facilities, and the defending state champ Mount Vernon Mountaineers take on the #1 seeded Diamond Wildcats in the district title game. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. It's nice to see blue, mostly clear skies at the moment. We might still be getting some rain by tomorrow morning, though.
Yeah, we have a cold front moving through. It's associated with the same low pressure system that brought the storms yesterday. As that cold front moves through, temperatures drop a little bit for the next couple of days. It's starting to move in about 5 a.m., but those storms don't really fire up until after sunrise, so we're looking more at 7. and they're going to continue to strengthen after they move out of our area. So we do have a threat for severe weather, but it won't be as strong as, say, southeast of us.
And then nicer days after that through Mother's Day.
Yes, it will be nice this weekend. Hopefully it stays that way.
See you at 6. Let's make it a great evening.